I don't have a critical voice. That is actually something I heard in a workshop one time. I was attending a workshop on transforming and healing our critical voice. And the presenter stood up and he said, everybody has a critical voice. And instantly someone in the front row raised their hand. And it completely caught the speaker off guard because he had simply said something that he felt was obvious. And so he called on the person in the front row. And the person in the front row said, I don't have a critical voice. I have a critical committee. And we exist in that place, that little voice inside of our head that is nagging us and pointing out everything that we do wrong. Today, what I want to do is I want to share a reframe with you and some tapping that will transform your relationship with your critical voice in a healthy way. This is Gene Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 621, originally aired July 24th, 2024. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well, wherever you are, and whatever time of day this finds you. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. I, like everybody else, has a critical voice. And there are times in which I am holding myself to account, and I'm doing it in such a way that I'm saying it out loud. And I have a good friend, childhood friend, my boy Brad, who has been with me most of my life. When I start doing that, he says something that cuts through the critical voice. And so I'm going to share that with you, and we're going to do some tapping to show you how to transform that critical voice. Now, before we do that, if you are new to tapping, tapping is this super powerful tool that helps us to create transformation. It's something I use every single day. It's something I teach and I use with my clients every single time I work with them. If you are new to tapping, all you need to do is go to learntotap.com, follow the red arrow in the right-hand corner that will take you to learntotap.com, and you too can add this to your daily routine. I appreciate the fact that my friend Brad cares so much about me, and he wants me to make good, thoughtful choices, and he wants me to treat myself well. And so when I am beating myself up because I haven't lived up to whatever standard I'm not living up to, it would be really easy for him to turn to me and say, you know, Gene, you're being too hard on yourself. And when my critical voice is in full force because I'm not living up to my standard, or I've made mistakes, or I didn't follow through on the things I said I was going to follow through on, if someone says, you're being too hard on yourself, my critical voice doesn't agree with them. It says just the opposite. It says, no, you're wrong. I'm not actually being hard enough with myself. I should be beating myself up more. Because the critical voice is operating from a point of view where it believes it's going to scold us into making better choices. It's going to scold us into being more focused. It's going to scold us into living up to our word. And I'm sure if you are anything like me, that is exactly not how it works. My critical voice has not ever one time in my life scolded me into making a better choice. Instead, it just compounds the fact that I feel bad about what's going on. And so what Brad says to me is he says something different. He doesn't say, Gene, you're being too hard on yourself. He says, Gene, you're not being very charitable with yourself. And ooh, that cuts me to the core. Because one of the things that I am most proud of, the thing that I point to that being a tapping practitioner, the greatest gift that being a tapping practitioner has given me, is the ability to give other people the benefit of the doubt and the ability to understand the context in which they're making choices. Because every single day when I sit here and I work with clients and I ask them questions and we poke around their subconscious minds, I get to hear the stories as to why they're acting the way that they are. They're not believing in themselves because they had people in their lives not believe in them. They're afraid to take action because of past painful failures or fear of judgment. And it's so easy when I'm sitting with someone else and I'm hearing this, that when they don't live up to their plans, when they do fall short, I'm able to give them the benefit of the doubt. I one time actually had a loved one turn to me as I was giving someone the benefit of the doubt, rolling their eyes going, Gene, do you really have to give everyone the benefit of the doubt all the time? Like, it has given me so much understanding and compassion, hearing the fear and the insecurity that we as humans operate out of. And that's a sense of charity. Charity is understanding the context of what someone else is going through. And so when Brad says to me, Gene, you're not being very charitable with yourself, it's an accusation. Not that he is accusing me, but I go, oh, I am being seen as offering something to everybody else that I am unwilling to offer to myself. Because again, if you say you're being too hard on yourself, my critical voice goes, no, I'm not. I need to be harder on myself. But when I hear you need to be charitable with yourself, there's that soft part of me that goes, oh, I'm failing myself. Oh, look at what I'm doing in this moment and not caring for myself. And so my response to my critical voice isn't to fight it, isn't to try and shout it down, but instead to offer charity towards myself, to amplify that other internal voice that I am so willing to extend to so many people in my life, not just my clients, my loved ones, the people I interact with every single day. It's so easy for me to go, oh, they're having a hard day. I can see why they're acting that way. And so I need to be offering that to myself. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do some really, really simple tapping around that particular idea. So what I want you to do, I want you to tap along with me. Take a nice big deep breath. And I want you to tune into that part of you that is scolding you, that is shouting you down, that is telling you everything that you are doing wrong. Tap on the side of the hand, take a nice easy deep breath, and just move from point to point, repeating after me in the order that makes sense for you. And if you can do it out loud, if you're in a space that allows you and it feels safe, I would encourage you to say the words out loud with me. I recognize the fact I have a very active critical voice. I have a part of me that wants me to do better, that wants me to be more. And the way it does it is it scolds me. It yells at me. It tells me all the things I've done wrong. It points out every time that I have failed. And it is so painful to hear my critical voice. It is so demoralizing to hear my critical voice. My critical voice thinks that in order for me to be successful, it's going to scold me into making better choices. And I recognize the fact I am not going to be scolded into acting differently. I am not going to be shamed into making better choices. My critical voice thinks it's helping, but instead it's just making me feel small. Instead, it's making me feel insignificant. Instead, I give myself permission to be charitable with myself. I do a very good job of recognizing the context and struggle of the loved ones in my life. of appreciating how hard they are working and the things that they do not control, that they are struggling against. I look at their efforts with compassion. I look at their efforts with charity. Because that's the humane thing to do. To recognize where they actually are. And I give myself permission to extend the same charity to myself. To extend the same generosity to myself. To extend the same love and care to myself. Recognizing my context is not lowering my standards. Acknowledging that I am imperfect is not going to steal my motivation. My critical voice steals my motivation. My critical voice shuts me down. My critical voice slows me down. I give myself permission to know that it is okay to extend generosity and kindness to myself. It is safe for me to be charitable with myself. I am allowed to be charitable with myself. I am worthy of being charitable with myself. I deserve to be charitable with myself. I give myself permission to be charitable with myself today. I give myself permission to be charitable with myself. I give myself permission to be charitable with myself. I give myself permission to be charitable with myself. I give myself permission to be charitable with myself today. Nice big deep breath. It's really easy for tapping like that to become really emotional. And that's the reason why at the end we kept saying that same phrase over and over and over again. I'd encourage you, I give myself permission to be charitable with myself. Do that for 2 straight minutes. I'm not kidding when I say that. Feel into it. Don't make it into something that you're just saying rote where you're not paying attention to the words coming out of your mouth. I give myself permission to be charitable with myself in the face of my imperfection. I give myself permission to be charitable with myself in the midst of my errors. Just do that over and over again. You will just feel the softening. You'll feel the gentling, and it won't demotivate you. It won't slow you down. You'll notice in that tapping, we recognized why the critical voice exists. It's trying to be helpful. It's just not. We also acknowledge that I can do this and still move forward. This is super, super powerful tapping. I really encourage you, make a commitment to yourself over the course of the next couple of days. Do this a couple of times. Like when you get done with this, hit pause right now, put it in your calendar, make an appointment with yourself 3 times. That's all I'm asking. Do this. You'll feel it gentling. It'll make such a difference. It'll make it easier for you to be comfortable inside of your own skin so that when things are hard, you trust and you believe in yourself. When things don't go as planned, they don't demotivate you. You are worthy. You're deserving of being charitable with yourself. It's going to make things so much easier. I know it makes it so much easier for me. I'm so lucky that I have friends in my life who are willing to call me out and say, Gene, you're not being very charitable with yourself. I would encourage you right now, be charitable with yourself today. If you know someone in your life who could appreciate a little tapping or this insight, please be our ambassador. Pass it along. You don't have to spam your inbox. Don't send to everybody you know. But there might be 1 or 2 people in your life that need to hear this message. And you can send them the video without actually telling them. Just say, hey, I found this useful. You might find it useful too. And I'll let you off the hook of saying this directly to one of your friends if that doesn't feel okay. And the beautiful thing is, even if they don't hit play, even if they don't tap along to this, the fact you've reached out to them today, said, hey, I'm thinking of you, this will make your day better, will make their day better. I know it sounds super cheesy, but it is true. As you look on the screen right now, you can see all the past episodes of the Tapping Q&A podcast. Click on the playlist, watch along, subscribe, get notifications turned on so we can tap together regularly. And I look forward to tapping with you again real soon. Bye-bye.